Hey. Hey y'all, how y'all doing? It's me, your girl Candace. Thank you for joining me for another episode of What the Smut Book Reviews. Stop. Just stop what you're doing. Okay. Not entirely sure what's going on with my hair because I feel like I wasn't quite so yellow the last time I was on here. I feel like I was more of a orangey red. And since then, I've brightened up, and I don't know how because I didn't do it to myself. So, am I literal sunshine? I don't know. Anyway, no, I'm not. Hi. Should we cut all of that previous garbage out? Should we get rid of that and just do our regular intro, or should we leave that in and let that be our intro? I don't know. What do you think? Hi, my name is Candace. Thank you for joining me for another episode of What the Smut Book Reviews. In today's video, I'm going to try and keep it as short as possible, as brief as possible, even though you know me. In today's episode, we are going to be reviewing a book. I should have opened this, that's what I should have done. I should have opened this video with, hi, welcome to the JT Geissinger Channel. Thank you for joining us for another episode. That's what I should have done. Because technically, this is now the JT Geissinger Channel. Because that's all we read and review here is JT Geissinger. And today is not going to be any different. I don't know if you guys just heard my husband coughing and my kid is yelling. Ignore all of that background noise because literally, I tell them I'm coming in here to record, and they just decide to be as loud as possible. It's like, oh, we weren't being loud before, but we will be now because we know you're doing something super important. So let's be louder. Okay, cool, thanks. So in today's video, we're gonna be reviewing. I just realized I have the remnants of Doritos Locos taco shell on my hands from dinner. So, or as we call it here, supper. From supper. So don't look at my fingers. That's embarrassing. Anyway, so the book that we're here to review today is, you guessed it, a JT Geissinger book. How did you know? How did you figure that out? Are you psychic? What are the winning lottery numbers? Such a fucking cheese. Anyway, in today's video, hair toss. I don't have any hair, but hair toss. We're going to be reviewing this book. Okay, I have a bone to pick, but we're going to talk about this book. This is Beautifully Cruel by JT Geissinger. This is book 1 in her Beautifully Cruel series, which really isn't even a series. It's like a duet. Duology. What do you call a series that only has 2 books in it? What? Duo? I don't know. It's got 2 books in it. This is the first of 2 books. Okay, the end. That's what I said. So, this is book 1 in said series. Book 2 is called Cruel Paradise. And we're gonna when I get to that video, you guys are gonna see me straight up melt into a puddle because I can feel my heart rate spiking as we speak. Oh God, okay. Calm down, Candace, calm down. Okay, so this book that we're here to talk about today is book 1, and that's in the series. So let's talk about this book first. Don't get ahead of yourself, bitch. Let's talk about this one. So the deets for this book. This book and the subsequent book, both free to read with KU, okay? If you want to purchase this book for your Kindle, you can do so for the price of $4.99. Pretty standard for a Kindle book, especially one that's available through KU. If you want to purchase the trade paperback that you see right here with this handsome tattooed devil right here, $13.99. Okay. This book is also available in audio. I listened to some of the audio, and I'll say the audio for this series is just like the audio for the Queens and Monsters series by her, which means that it has the dual narration within the chapters. So each narrator narrates their own lines in the dialogue, regardless of whose POV the chapter is for. Does that make sense? I think you know what I mean, right? Okay. So, according to Amazon, yes, I'm back on my ish. You thought I forgot, didn't you? Amazon, you thought you got away. You thought you got away scot-free, but you didn't. This doesn't even have page numbers. Wait, does it? Wait, okay. So, according to Amazon, this book is supposed to have 334 pages. I actually got 317 pages. Explain yourself. Explain yourself, Amazon. You suck. Okay, so I'm gonna read you guys the blurb, and then we're gonna break it down, because this book and its subsequent book, I need to put a disclaimer here for all of you nitwits out there like me, because I'm a fucking idiot. The Queens and Monsters series are JT Geisinger's most recent books. There are 3 books in that series, and they're mostly Irish Mafia, right? Well, there's like one, well, anyway, you know what I mean. They're mafia books, right? Okay. These 2 books were published directly before the Queens and Monsters series. I was unaware that these 2 books, this one and the next one, Cruel Paradise, are tied in to the Queens and Monsters series. When I started Ruthless Creatures, which is the first book in the Queens and Monsters series, I had no idea that these 2 books existed. If I had, I would have started with this one. My OCD brain would not have allowed me to do otherwise. So, if you are thinking about picking up these books, if you are thinking about giving the Queens and Monsters series a try, start with this book. beautifully cruel. I promise you, it's important that you do so, because characters from this book and the next book will show up and their names will be mentioned in the Queens and Monsters series. Okay? It's not imperative that you read them in order to enjoy that series. However, if you want the full experience and you want to understand every little thing that's going on, and you don't want some rando guy to show up and then your main character from a Queens and Monsters book to be talking to this guy as if he knows him, and you go, who the fuck is this guy? Read these books. Because if you read these books, you'll know who the fuck that guy is. Okay? Okay, now you get it. All right, cool. So, okay, let's read the blurb. And then we're gonna, it's really short. It's super short. Okay, so just like with the Queens and Monsters series, there's like a little thing up here at the top where it has like a noun, and then it has like the definitions of said noun. So it says alpha, in parentheses noun. 1, having the highest rank in a dominance hierarchy. 2, the most powerful man in a group. 3, Liam Black. Yes. Okay. He was a stranger to me, a dark and dangerous presence who materialized from the shadows one rainy night to save me from a vicious attack. I didn't know his name or where he was from. All I knew was that the only place I'd ever felt safe was in his arms. But safety is an illusion, and not every savior is a hero. And, as I'd soon find out, having an alpha save your life comes with a price. Liam Black wanted something from me in return. Okay. I told you guys last video I do that every video, and I'm going to continue to do it because I just can't not do it. Can't do it. I can't not do it. Okay. So, the two main characters for this book are Liam Black, and Truvy. Her real name is Truvy. They call the short version of her name is True. They call her True. Okay. Don't ask me what her last name is. I can't fucking remember to save my life. Story of my life. I will say, with all of these books, there is a trend of them being slight age gap romances. So if you're into that, right up your alley. Truvy is 24, and Liam is like 10 years, 15 years her senior. He's 15 years older than her. That's a pretty fucking big gap. That's a sexy gap. Pause. Okay, so yeah, so she's 24 and he's like 40. Don't make me math. I can't math. So yeah, yum. So age gap, if that's your thing, it's my thing too. Okay, so Truvy is the main female character. She is named after Julia Roberts' character from Steel Magnolias. Her mother is obsessed with Dolly Parton. If you don't know who Dolly Parton is, get the fuck off my channel. Oh God, okay. I'm sorry, that was harsh. I'm from South Carolina. I have an ingrained, it's literally in my genes, love for Dolly Parton. So I can't help it. I'm sorry. So her mom is obsessed with Dolly Parton and named all of her children after either a Dolly Parton character or a character from a Dolly Parton movie. So Truvy or as they say, true, is named after a character from a Dolly Parton movie. She's a waitress. She works at a little diner in Boston. Usually closing shift, like late at night, closing shift. And for every day, for the last year, a man has been coming in, speaking to no one, and sitting only in her section, ordering coffee and watching her. And not actually speaking to her. So she doesn't get like a creepo vibe from him because he's dangerously attractive, right? But she secretly looks forward to his visits. When he comes in, he just stares at her. And he's been doing that for over a year. But he's never made any move to do anything else. So it's weird, right? Said person is Liam. Liam is the head of the Irish mob. He also happens to be literally in love with her. So he's been coming into this diner every night and very awkwardly trying to work up the courage to speak to her. And one night he comes in and she's been trying to work up the courage to speak to him. And finally, she makes like some inane, like icebreaker type conversation about the weather or some shit. And she doesn't expect a response because he never responds to anything she says, whether it be about his bill or whatever. And this time he does respond. But after a significant delay where she feels like an idiot. But he does respond. And then she's like, oh shit. Right? And they have like a little back and forth. And she starts counting down the number of things that they have in common. We're both from small towns, yada yada. And as he's getting ready to leave, she says there's one more thing. There's a fourth thing that they have in common. If you say your favorite ice cream flavor is pistachio, then we're destined to be together forever. And on his way out, he says, my favorite flavor of ice cream is pistachio. And I knew from that line of the book, which literally is in like the first chapter of the book, I was like, you got me, bitch. You got me. You got me. I'm in it. And I went on Amazon and I ordered the trade paperback. I didn't need to read anymore. I was like, all right, cool. Buy $13.99. I don't need to eat out. I don't need to eat out this week. Bye. So they made conversation and then he left. And later on, she's taking out the trash, which she's not supposed to be doing. There's technically, okay, so there's there's another waitress there that's a friend of hers. And then there's a cook named Diego. If you've already read the Queens and Monsters series, you will recognize that name. If you haven't, you won't, but if you have, you will. He's a character that shows back up in Queens and Monsters. So there's a cook that works there by the name of Diego. He's technically supposed to be taking out the trash because, you know, he's the man and he's supposed to be doing it because it's dangerous out there taking out the trash. So he doesn't want to do it. He hasn't been doing it. Truvy's been doing it. So she goes out later on to take out the garbage. And she gets attacked. Now, Truvy, despite her upbringing as a Southern belle and a sweet little wallflower and her sweet little accent and whatever, she ain't no dainty. Like, once she gets going, like, she got a mouth on her. She's full of sass and she can fight. She gets attacked by like 3 guys in the alley who seem to think that there's a safe inside that they're going to rob. No. They pin her, one of them pins her down. She like fights back instead of just like going all girly, like, ooh. No, she fights back, mouthing off the whole time. And when she's like beaten to shit because he beats the shit out of her and she's sure she's gonna die, who comes in to rescue her? Liam. Liam steps in and literally kills all 3 dudes right in front of her. Picks her up and calls 911, calls an ambulance for her. They take her to the hospital to get her checked out. He stays by her side the entire time. She's wondering, she has no idea who he is. She doesn't know that he has mob ties at all. But she sees people like deferring to him. Medical staff, the police, they're like giving him preferential treatment. The police are turning a blind eye to the 3 bodies that are piled up in the alley. They're doing cleanup work for him. Like, okay. So she's thinking, is he a politician? Is he a cop? Is he whatever? So she's in the hospital and he's there and he's with her. So he stays with her for a little bit until she finally says she wants to go home. She doesn't want to be in the hospital. She wants to leave. So against medical advice, obviously, because she ain't in no state to go home, he takes her home. She asks him to stay with her. He says that he will, but during the night he leaves. He knows he shouldn't stay, so he leaves. He leaves her behind. When she wakes up the next morning, she gets a delivery of about 5 billion flowers from Liam with a card with a phone number on it. That's it, just a phone number. She calls. He tells her, I have to leave. I'll be gone for about 3 weeks. When I get back, I want you to live with me. I want you to move in with me for 28 days. After that 28 days is up, we'll part ways and we'll never see each other again. It's the only way we can be together. She's like, what? She's tempted. She's hella tempted. But after thinking about it and vacillating with herself, she declines. He's super upset about it, obviously. But he accepts that she says no. Or does he? Right? So, Truvy is going to school. In addition to being a waitress, she's in law school. She's trying to become a lawyer. Not just any lawyer, she wants to be a public defender. So while Liam is supposed to be away, towards the tail end of the 3 weeks that he's away, she graduates from law school. The people that she works with at the diner, not the owner, the other waitress, her husband, Diego, and a couple of the other people that she works with there, take her out for dinner at this nice fancy restaurant, this new posh place, where they had to make a reservation. Everybody got to dress up, right? Take her out for dinner to celebrate the fact that she just graduated from law school. So they're there. And up to this point, the cook, Diego, he flirts indiscriminately with everyone. All the women that come through there, all the waitresses that work there. He hasn't bat an eyelash at anyone in particular. He flirts with everybody. However, prior to this dinner turns out to be his idea. When he asks her to go to this dinner to celebrate her graduation from law school, initially it sounds to her as if it might be a date, and that makes her kind of uncomfortable. So when she tries to clarify it, he kind of throws in to the mix the other friends, and then she kind of is like, oh, okay, yeah, cool, yeah, that sounds good, awesome. So Diego makes the reservation and everything like that at this new restaurant. And they're there and everybody's having a good time. And then when it's time to pay the bill, no bill comes. And they ask about it. And they sit, and the waiter or the maitre d' or whoever says, no, the bill has been taken care of by the owner of the establishment. What? The owner? Who's the owner? Because at first, their friends are looking at each other like, did you do this? Did you do this? What? Who's the owner of the establishment? It's Liam. Liam owns the restaurant. So when Diego hears the name, he knows exactly who Liam is. He grabs Truvy and tries to get her out the back door of the restaurant through the kitchens. He gets stopped by a bunch of burly guards, like Liam's bodyguards, like Liam's henchmen, aka someone you might know if you've read Queens and Monsters by the name of Declan, and maybe someone else by the name of Killian. I'm being really super salty right now because those names show up in those books. So yeah, so they get stopped, and out walks Liam, and his first instinct, obviously, is get the fuck away from her. He wants to knock Diego out for daring to touch what obviously he thinks belongs to him. Truvy is looking at him like, what are you doing here? You're not supposed to be back for several more days. Like, what are you doing here? And he's like, I got back early. I couldn't stay away from you. And she's like, oh, but at the same time, like, I'm not having none of that. And then she sees him getting ready to fuck Diego up. And she says, don't hurt him. Promise me you're not going to hurt him. And so he promises he's not going to hurt him, but he has his henchmen take Diego out. The whole time Diego's screeching, like he's yelling. Truvy don't trust him. Don't listen to him. And then right before they get him outside, Diego yells out, he's the head of the Irish mob. Or no, he says he's in the mob. He's in the Irish mob. And then Truvy looks at Liam and goes, is that true? Are you in the mob? And Liam replies with, I am the mob. No, I'm not in the mob. I am the mob. You smart ass. You smart ass. So, he essentially throws her over his shoulder without her consent and kidnaps her and takes her back to his apartment where he locks her up and keeps her for the next 28 days without her consent. Because I gave you your chance to do it voluntarily and you said no. And now I'm going to do it with or without your permission because I need to be with you. The end. So yeah. And he's obviously planned this because by the time she gets there, he already has all of her stuff. All of her clothes are already set up in his closet. All of her toiletries are set up in the bathroom. Literally set up, like lined up in the bathroom. Her shoes are in the closet on the floor. Everything is done, unpacked, set up, and unpacked. Her books, her study books, her law books, everything unpacked. And she's like, you were planning this. You knew you were going to do this. And he's just like, yeah. No shame whatsoever. No shame. So regardless of the fact that she's been told that he's keeping her for 28 days, she still tries, obviously she tries to get out. You're not just going to lay down and take it. Not Truvy. Because he's not going to just lay down and take that. So she runs. And she tries to get out of the apartment. She tries the elevator. She goes down every single floor. Well, guess what? Every single floor of this high-rise building is completely empty. The only floors that aren't empty are the parking garage, which is guarded by his men. And then she realizes he owns the entire fucking building. And there's literally no way out except the parking garage that's heavily guarded by Declan, who's literally just staring at her, smoking cigarettes like a chain smoker. No biggie, no big deal. No big deal. So she goes back upstairs, completely defeated. And she gives in. And she just says, for the time being, I guess I have to stay here. So over the course of the next 28 days, they grow closer to each other. Obviously, eventually, they have sex. It's hot. My God. Yo. Okay. Anyway, moving on. One night, she overhears him having a conversation on the phone with who turns out to be his brother, who he tells her is his brother. In the conversation, he's saying something about wanting out and that he's given 18 years of his life to something. Very vague. He's given 18 years to something. And when she gets caught eavesdropping, he tells her freely, it was my brother on the phone. She doesn't ask what the conversation was about, obviously. He doesn't offer the information. But later on, she gets a call on her phone because he gives her full access. She has to study for the bar. And that's very important to her. And he knows that that's very important to her. He can tell that becoming a lawyer means more to her than just a job. There's a story there. There's something behind that that's very important to her. And so when she calls him shortly after he's deposited her there, and he's at work, and she calls him and she says, or he calls her or something like that, I forget. And she says, I need the Wi-Fi password. I need to be able to get onto my school stuff to take the practice exams and whatever. He says that he'll give her immediate, no hesitation whatsoever. I'll give you the password. He gives her phone because he knows that she doesn't really want to leave. After the first couple of days of being there, she doesn't want to go. She wants to be there with him. So her mom calls and she tells her mom that she's seeing someone. And of course, her mom is like this backwoods hillbilly type, very endearing Southern whatever, and asks like, is he in touch with the Lord and all that sort of stuff. Very comical. And Truvy is just like, I don't want to lie to my mom, but I can't tell her that he's in the Irish Mafia. And so she hedges. And then the talk comes around to her upcoming exam for the bar association. When it gets to that part, she excuses herself to down the hallway to finish the phone call. The conversation then turns to why she's taking the bar exam to begin with. And her mom makes a comment about, he'd be so proud of you. He'd be, and then she says some age, I think it's 20, 23 or 24, something this year. And Truvy's like, I know. They finish the conversation, and then she turns around, and Liam is literally standing right behind her. So he had obviously overheard the conversation. and figures out that her brother has passed away, and that it's somehow connected to why she wants to be a lawyer. And when he asks her about it, she tells him that her brother got involved with the wrong people and formed a drug habit. And he was stopped by the cops, and that he was arrested for drug possession along with the son of a very prominent judge in the area, who was also arrested at the time for the same charge. The judge's son had excellent representation and got off basically scot-free. Her brother, however, had no money. They had no money. And therefore he got hit with a public defender who put up no fight whatsoever, didn't know how to do their job. And her brother got the maximum sentence. It was like a ridiculous amount of money. It was like $1 million in fines and 40 years in prison. And while he was in prison, he was murdered by a group of fellow inmates. One of the inmates, who was already serving life in prison with no possibility of parole and had nothing to lose by confessing, confessed to killing her brother, and said that they were paid to do it by the judge, the father of the other boy who was arrested with her brother. When she tells Liam this, Liam is livid and basically offers to murder the judge for her. She says no. She doesn't want blood on her hands, which if that was me, I'd be like, fuck yes, go kill that bastard right now. But obviously she's not me, and she's a fucking nicer person than I would be, because I'd put that motherfucker 6 feet in the ground, like, So, that's the reason that she has fought so hard to become a lawyer, and that's why she wants to go into being a public defender. It's not about the money. It's never been about the money. She doesn't want to be a criminal defense attorney. She wants to be specifically a public defender so that she can help people like her brother who have no money. And yeah, so that's the story on that. And so she tells him all of this. Shortly after that, Liam gets a phone call from Kieran, saying that someone has tried to plant a bomb at the back entrance to one of his restaurants. Someone's trying to kill him, basically. And Liam's like, who the hell would be stupid enough to do such thing? And Kieran replies with, well, you can talk to him yourself. I have him right here. And Liam's like, you caught him? And he's like, yeah, he's right here. It turns out it's Diego that's trying to kill Liam. So Liam tells Truvy, I'll be back. I'll be back later on tonight. I gotta go handle some business. I'll be right back. So he slips out and he goes down through a private elevator that's like located behind a fucking bookcase somewhere in the house. And he goes and meets up with Diego. And he's like, why are you doing this? And they do their little tit for tat bullshit back and forth with Diego basically saying, she's too good for you, you're gonna ruin her, you know, blah, 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 blah. And after Liam basically says, the only reason you're not dead right now is because I promised Truvy that I wouldn't hurt you. Otherwise you would be dead because you're getting on my fucking nerves. He has Kieran take him away. And right before they load Diego into the car, Diego spouts off something along the lines of, the only way you do Truvy any good is if you were a dead man. Something to that effect. And it gives him like an idea. Declan shows up to the apartment and tells her he's taking her back home. And she's like, what? And he's like, we're packing your things and taking you home. And she's like, no, I'm not leaving. Where's Liam? And of course he's tight-lipped. He's not telling her anything. She demands to talk to Liam. No, you're not talking to Liam. He doesn't want to talk to you. So she's spitting mad. Where the fuck is Liam? I want to talk to him. Declan won't let her talk to him. She fights him tooth and nail all the way to her house, where he dumps her on the doorstep. She fights Kieran and the other guards who bring her stuff in. She makes them put every single piece of clothing and toiletries and personal goods back exactly where they found them, just to piss them off. And the second that they close the door on her, she breaks down in tears and cries hysterically. And he doesn't call, and he doesn't come back. And he never shows back up. She waits and he doesn't come. Eventually, she crawls out of her pity party and she goes back to work. While she's there, she sees on one of the TVs in the diner, a news report of Liam being arrested by the FBI on a shit ton of charges. Racketeering, fraud, murder, a shit ton of charges. And it shows video of him being led up the stairs to the FBI building or whatever in cuffs, looking cool as a fucking cucumber, with a smug little smile on his face, just walking inside like nothing's happened. And she's freaking the fuck out. And so she panics and she leaves work. And she doesn't know where to go. So she goes home. She walks inside her apartment. Her roommate, Ellie, who I think I forgot to mention in the beginning of this video. She's kind of irrelevant. Her roommate, Ellie, makes an offhanded comment. She starts to say something about Liam. Truvy does. And Ellie says, oh yeah, he's waiting for you in your room. And she's like, what? And Ellie's like, yeah, he's in your, he asked if he could wait for you in your bedroom. And I told him, yeah. And she's like, have you turned on the news? And Ellie's like, no. What do you mean? And Truvy thinks she's entered the Twilight Zone. So she walks into her bedroom, and sure enough, a guy is standing there who looks absolutely identical to Liam Black in every way, right down to the tattoos on his knuckles, but she looks at him and she knows immediately that it's not him. And then a little pinging sound goes off in her head and she's like, where is he? And the guy like kind of laughs a little bit, like, how did you know it wasn't him? And she's just like, I just knew, but you're obviously his brother. And she remembered him having that phone conversation where he said that he was on the phone with his brother. So he introduces himself as Liam's brother, Killian. And he hands her an envelope. And inside the envelope is a fake passport with a brand new name, a fake ID, and an airline ticket to Argentina, which is the one place that she chose when Liam asked her, where's the one place on earth that you would choose to go? If you could go anywhere on earth, where would you go? And she said, Argentina. So now she has a ticket to Argentina. And he basically says, he's waiting for you if you're willing to drop everything and go. And she doesn't think twice. She leaves all her shit behind. And in a panic, with a ball of anxiety in her chest, she stops long enough in the living room to say goodbye to Ellie. I love you. I gotta go. And she runs out of the house. She jumps on a plane and she goes to Argentina. And she gives them an address that Killian gave her. And when she gets there, he's opening the door and running for her. And they just like collide with each other. And essentially, what's going to happen is there's a new Liam in town whose real name is Killian. And Killian is going to take Liam's place as head of the Irish Mafia in Boston and allow Liam to live a life for once in his life with the love of his life in Argentina. I can't remember if it's in the last chapter of the book or if it's in an epilogue, but she flies back she passes the bar in Argentina, so she can practice law in Argentina, but she also flies back to Boston to pass the bar, or to take the bar exam under her real name in Boston, because it's a goal that she had her entire life. Or, well, not her entire life, but you know what I mean. And while she's there, she runs into Killian again. And he's like, how do you always spot me? How do you do that? And they walk arm in arm with each other, very camaraderie type. And it's very cute. And she finds out that, she also finds out during that little chapter that the judge that had her brother killed has been arrested for murder, for hire. I can't remember if it was for that murder or a different murder, but he's been arrested and put in jail. So he got his fucking comeuppance, piece of shit. So anyway, yeah, and they lived happily ever after. The end. 5 hours later. So yeah. For the rating for this book, I give it a 9.5. I fucking loved this book. I don't know what it is about this author, but literally, especially these mob books, there's just something about them that they're so fucking good. They're so good. They're so addictive. I just can't. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, scatterbrained as it was, if you like me and you like this channel, please consider subscribing. I would really appreciate it. If you would like, you can follow me on social media. I do have a members only Facebook group, an Instagram, and a Twitter devoted to this channel. I will link them all in the description box below, and I'll put a little banner here on the screen for you guys to see. I really appreciate you guys joining me for another video, and I think that's it. Love you guys so much, and I will see you in my next video. Bye. Well, hello there, my little babies. It's very appropriate that I talk like this for this video because I don't know if you guys are aware, but I'm from the South, and the heroine from this book I'm getting ready to review is also from the South, a different part of the South, but still, she's from Texas. I'm from South Carolina, but we're gonna get into it, y'all. I had no idea that these two books existed. Tea break. Parched. I got new cups. Aren't they cute? You don't care, I know. Okay. Okay. Now, why do I get out of breath doing absolutely nothing? It baffles me. It literally baffles my mind. I'm so fat and out of shape. I get out of breath running my mouth. I get out of breath. You're not using any part of your body besides your mouth. Why are you so tired? I don't get it. Anyway. Why am I parched? Okay. Yvette, that's definitely not tea. Okay? I'm stating for the record that that's definitely not tea in there. Why are my fingers so orange? Oh, God, matches my hair. Okay. I'm gonna pause this really quick because I can't fucking stand seeing this anymore. I gotta wash my hands and use my inhaler because I feel like I'm suffocating to death. I think I'm giving myself an anxiety attack. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back, freshly glossed. Albuteroled up. Slightly chiller. Not that much, because let's be honest, it's me who we're talking about. And yeah. So, okay, where the hell was I? So, yes, age gap. So, sexy age gap, right? So, with what turns out to be his shortly after that, Diego gets a call. Diego, I love you guys so much. Oh my God. Okay, we're done here. We're done here. I gotta go. I love you so much. I gotta go put my kid to bed. Because she's got school tomorrow. And I gotta go. I love you so much. Bye-bye.